Greetings and salutations, YouTubers. This is ZillaFan85, back today with my newest video, another figure review, and today I'm going to go ahead and review my King Caesar Gashapon figure. This is one I've been meaning to do a review on for a little while now, just finally getting a chance to go ahead and review him. Definitely really like this one. I think the high-grade, Bandai's high-grade figures, they did a really knockout job with this Gashapon, so I was definitely happy, getting a hold of it, which I did get many years ago, and it was really the only King Caesar figure that I had for the longest time up until just, in the more recent past when I finally ended up getting the Bandai Creation one, which I do happen to like a lot as well, and I'm going to do a review on in the future. But for right now, I just figured I'll start with the Gashapon one. Obviously, we know King Caesar first appeared in the 1974 film Godzilla vs. MechaGodzilla, which is definitely among my favorite Godzilla films of all time, and I certainly love King Caesar. I think he's a really cool kaiju. He had a really cool battle with MechaGodzilla, and then of course when he teamed up with Godzilla to take on MechaGodzilla, the two of them together battling against the mechanical titan. So it was a very cool appearance. Of course, his history. He was considered a sort of guardian deity monster of the Azumi family. So only a member of the royal Azumi family could actually call upon him to be awakened from his slumber, and to aid them in whatever sort of, travesty that they were facing at the time. And of course, in the film, of course, being threatened by MechaGodzilla and needed him to fight against MechaGodzilla. So very cool. And of course, they had the statue that needed to be used as well to awaken him. And I do love that King Caesar song, I have to admit. I always enjoyed that when the I think she's like the princess of the royal Azumi family when she starts singing his song, so I always love that. So very cool. He had a very cool appearance. He did appear again as far as film-wise, he did appear again in Godzilla Final Wars. I wasn't too crazy about his Final Wars design. Obviously, this figure based on his Showa design from Godzilla vs. MechaGodzilla, and that's the version of King Caesar that I prefer anyway. So, like I said, I wasn't too crazy about his Final Wars design, but it was at least cool to see him, reappear in film again, though. And of course, he's been in other media, in Godzilla video games, etc., etc. So, anyway, so just kind of covering some of that. But let's go ahead and jump into the figure review itself. So again, a Gashapon figure. It's a mini figure, only a few inches tall. But very nicely done. We start with the paint job, and it looks very signature of King Caesar's design in the film. You see his main part of the body, he's got that sort of dark brown color skin, and they did a really nice job painting that. I think it looks really good. You can see that all around in his abdomen area, up by his neck, and in his face, on his arms and legs, and of course on his tail as well. Just making sure you guys can see all of that. Of course, you got that on like the inside of the ears. You got a little bit of it as well. And then, of course, he's got, other than that, he's got that mane, that sort of gold mane that he's got coming down on his back and in front by his chest there with those patterns and all, and on the ears. And, of course, on his the gold on the arms, too, for that fur that he's got, and on the legs, on the back side here, and then of course the gold color as well for the tail. So it's sort of like a creamish goldish color basically, and it looks really good. It actually looks pretty darn accurate to what the film looked like. And then otherwise for paint scheme, you got that sort of blue dot that he's got on his forehead. Very signature of his look, because he's basically like a lion dog sort of kaiju. So and he was brought to life, again vis-a-vis the statue. So he's sort of got like the statue had these gems on it, and he sort of takes on some of that appearance as well. So he's got that blue sort of gem on his forehead, and then of course his eyes have that sort of reddish color. They do seem to have a bit of like a black pupil as well, which is not 100% accurate because it really should just be that red ruby color, jewel looking eye. But it's not too bad here. It's not very noticeable or anything like that. The Bandai Creation one is actually much more noticeable with the black pupils. So when I review that one, I'll kind of go into that more. Which is something that I'm not too crazy about. That was kind of the only drawback of that figure for me, anyway. And then otherwise for paint, you got like some sort of like off-white bonish color for the finger claws and the toe claws, so you can see those there. And so it's a nice little contrast to the rest of the body. So the paint is actually, to me anyways, it's pretty well done, I think. And then of course detail, and I think they did a really nice job with that. You can see on the mane, he's got these like swirls for the designs on his mane. Very cool looking. You've got like the sort of rough texturing on the mane as well. Got all those facial features that he's got, including with the teeth, which again, the teeth are also sort of that bonish color, like the claws, of course. Kind of forgot to mention that just before. Again, got that jewel included on the forehead, and of course the eyes there with the detailing in them. I just wish that they were the solid color, but it's not too big of a drawback, though. It really doesn't take away from it, I don't think. The ears in that pointed up, alerted position. Sometimes his ears flap down, and when he's alerted is when they stand up on end, which was always a really cool little feature that King Caesar had. So, and you can see that sort of lionish, doggish face that he's got. Very cool looking there. Again, you got the fur on the arms going down, all the patterning on those. You got the scaling on his body as well, and it's really a nice rough texture, and it looks really good. It actually looks quite accurate to the movie, so I'm very impressed with this. And then of course on the tail, that patterning there, and a nice bushy end to it as well, which you can see as well with the fur there, and nice texturing and detail on that. So it looks really good. That pretty much covers it, I think, for the most part, for the detailing. Like I said, they got the claws and everything, so I think they did a really good and really knockout job painting and detailing this figure, I think. I'm actually blown away by this Gashapon figure, honestly. I was really happy to add it to my collection. And then other than that, articulation, but again, it's a Gashapon figure, not really meant for it. There is sort of one point of articulation, that being the tail. You can basically rotate. However, I don't know if it's meant for it really, because again, it pops into place like a lot of, a lot of parts on the Gashapon figures do. But you can actually rotate it though, and it can pretty much go all the way around. Again, I don't know if it's meant for that or not, but you can certainly get away with it on here. So at least you got like a little bit of something. So if you want to sort of have the tail in different poses, I kind of like it like that. I think to me that's how I kind of like him to stand. But it is kind of cool, so you can at least get that. So that's one thing to note. Other than that, I mean, that pretty much covers it, though, for the most part. These guys, these Gashapon King Caesars are pretty readily available online. You can get yours on eBay and whatnot. That's where I got mine. It should be under $20, maybe even in the $10 to $15 range, depending on the seller. So these certainly aren't going to break the bank. And if you don't mind, it's a Gashapon minifigure. If you're just happy to have that to your collection, that you don't need a standard size figure, then this is certainly a way to go, because again, it's very affordable and very common and readily available. Like I said, you can find them in droves on eBay, at least from what I've always seen anyway. So that pretty much does wrap it up for this review. Can't really think of anything too much more to say about it, but again, I do love King Caesar, and I was really happy to add this to my collection. I certainly recommend it. But again, that does about wrap it up for this video, folks. I would like to thank you so much for watching. If you would like to subscribe, please feel free to do so. If you would like to like and or comment on any of my videos, please feel free to do so as well. One thing to note as far as next weekend goes, before I do conclude finally, is that I will be attending MechaCon. That's in Orlando, Florida. So I don't know video-wise what I'll do. I might try to do something from the convention next weekend. I'm really, really excited about it. My friend and I are going. So we'll see, though, what I can maybe muster up for you guys. As far as a video goes for next weekend, it'll probably be something to do with the convention if I do a video. So, just wanted to let you guys know about that. It just kind of came to my head. But again, though, that we'll see what happens next weekend once I go. So, anyway, though, folks, like I said, that does cover it. So just remember, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, you be good to yourselves, and sayonara.